Good morning, everyone. It's Saturday, which means it's time for yet another salty Saturday morning. And as you can tell, we've got the dulcet tones of the Pacific Ocean in the background. And with that being said, I want to welcome my fantastic panel of nerds, starting with my brother from another mother, the man who's filled with holiday glee, Matt Bader 74. How you doing, buddy?
Holiday ho-ho spirit, right? Yeah.
Yep.
No, I hate Christmas. I wish it was.
You got your ball hanging out.
My ball's hanging out. Yeah, just one, just the left one though.
Just casual ball.
It's all good. Odin's like, I'm out. See you later.
Odin's like, this stream's getting too adult for me.
It's too much.
2 weeks in a row, man. Come on.
Well, at least it's not his feet, right?
Yeah, I could do that too, but no, the people aren't ready for that sweetness. Yep. So yeah.
And speaking of sweetness, we have our gender diverse, queer, pansexual Latinx shield against all things woke, Brian from the Popcast. How you doing, buddy?
Thank you, sir. Good to see you. Good to see you. What's up, Chris? What's up, Odin? Vader?
Hey, buddy.
Graham Poobah, Mr. Kadish. Thank you.
Yes, it is Mr. Kadish. Get it right. And
Graham
of course,
Poobah.
joining us from beautiful tropical Hawaii with the ocean in the background, welcoming him back to the show after a long hiatus, Mr. Reagan himself. How you doing, buddy?
I'm trying to think of the most controversial stuff I could think of for the show today. So, what is it? What do they say in Jurassic Park? Hold on to your butts. Yeah, hopefully I'll come up with something that will blow this out of the water, make international news, and that's the goal.
Get the channel canceled.
Mr. Reagan.
That's right.
One channel at a time.
Yeah.
Well, all the cool kids are getting the cancel pigs coming after them, so why not us? All right.
Yeah.
And the master of pineapple pizza, the lord of the shelves himself, Odin from OMB Reviews. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, well, I was doing fine until you blasted that disgusting image in our salty regular chat.
Oh no, he's so gross.
Like, seriously.
What is wrong with you, man?
You just got married, okay? Grow up, man.
God.
Hey, I did that for Vader. He needs these things.
Oh.
Disgusting.
Yes, for those of you who don't know, we have a private DM group on X where the regulars on the show all communicate. And Vader liked a very odd style of pictures, AI-generated pictures.
We've all seen it.
So I posted one, and Odin did not appreciate it because I guess he was surfing X with his kid. I don't know.
Yeah. Shouldn't do that. That's not a good idea.
No,
Well,
for the
hold
record,
on. I feel like we need this picture described in detail for those of us who haven't seen it.
let's not go there. Let's not go there, please. For the record, I was not. There was an older photo. I was like, I just need a cleanse photo in this because, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Just picture a nice a picture of Kermit the Frog and Taylor Swift having a good time together. That's all. They're just eating dinner.
Having a good time. Having a good time. That kind of good time.
I mean, you can't post that stuff on Twitch anymore, so you have to post it on X.
That's right.
For people to appreciate it.
I heard you now can post that stuff on Twitch.
Well, we're going to get to that in a little bit.
Yeah.
Back and forth.
Yeah, back and forth. But first, I want to give a big shout out to Mexican Iron Man, who was first in our chat today, beating out Anthony Mark by just a couple of seconds. Anthony Mark is sitting
Mexican
on the beach.
Iron Man and I have been chatting on Twitter in the private DMs. So
That's
hello,
awesome.
Mexican Iron Man specifically for Mr. Reagan.
Yeah, and Mexican Iron Man was actually on our Tuesday stream where we talked about producing live streams, and that was a really fun conversation. People really seem to appreciate that.
Off camera.
I'm not kidding. A girl is texting me and it's messing up my thing. I got to turn off the
Yeah, blame
Oh,
women,
all-
of course.
Yes,
Yes.
all the girls who text you. Yes, we got Veritas Eterna, Wendy Hunter. Also wanted to point out that Anthony Mark is a big Mr. Reagan fan, so thank you for being here, Mr. Reagan, so that we get people like Anthony Mark in the chat. We got Gary
you.
Bando Sandwich Worthington. We got Thrasher613, Atoy Fanboy. Good to see you, Atoy Fanboy. V Real, Cocho Dragon, Gavin Blackburn, Super Sticker Extraordinaire, Shorty Short, Keely Chow, Salty Scorpion, Mr. Farnsworth, Wendy Hunter, and Danny's Mom Penny, Studio Wow. Who else we got in the chat here? We got Stony H. Guys, thank you so much for being here. And I see Tom Connors Jr. in the chat. So he says he's on his way, so he'll be joining us soon. Christopher Mays, Toombs, and Darth Maul's lower half. Good to see you all. Glad that you could be here. Want to give a membership goal of we're looking to get 10 new members today during
That'd
this,
be cool.
if possible. That'd be really nice. And of course, if you haven't already, give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. We need 200 of those to apply to be officially credited movie reviewers on Rotten Tomatoes, so that we can send all the traffic there over to Criticless. That is our goal.
I have something I want to say real quick. I see Nadia in the chat. Nadia is one of our mods. She also is a fill-in person for us on the show. I want to say hi, Nadia. I want to say, hey, I'm sorry, but I also want to say, hey, wrangle your cats, okay? Because I'm not going to put up with a lot of their shit, okay? No claws. All right, good. So, we're good.
Wow.
Vader was out spreading misogyny the other day.
Misogyny.
And,
I'm a misogynist.
Nadia's panelist on their live stream didn't take too kindly to it.
No, it's okay though.
But also, if you guys don't mind,
I do.
If you want to join the SJW Army, the Salty Justice Warriors, go to saltynerddiscord.com and check us out. That will take you right to the invite to join our wonderful little community over there. And real quick, before we get going,
you just got bombed.
Yes, Bob Dorsey just destroyed our membership goal. One of our Salty Saturday superstars gifted 50 Salty Nerd Podcast memberships. Thank you so much, sir.
That's
That
incredible.
is insanely generous of you. For those of you out there who don't know about memberships or gifted memberships, it's like if you're in the chat when somebody gifts memberships, YouTube will randomly assign those gifted memberships to you. So, and when you become a member, you get access to our members only content on the channel. So we put out new membership content every week, and we have a playlist there. So if you guys just got a brand new Salty Nerd Club membership, go check out our big back catalog of members only shows. They're quite fun. And if you think Vader's bad in public, wait till you see him when we're not live. Yeah. But also want to give a big shout out to Mexican Iron Man for $9.99. I'm off site at weekend tactical training, preparing for an alien invasion, zombies, or Godzilla's rise from the ocean. Missing the show, but here's my patronage to Lord, Master, and Mr. Kadish. Thank you, sir.
If you had to pick one of those, which ones would you want to happen? Alien invasion, zombie apocalypse, or Godzilla? Which is the preferable end of the world?
I think zombies would be preferable because aliens would be technologically advanced, and there's no way to kill Godzilla. So,
okay.
Yeah, but it's more fun to kill aliens, I think.
Maybe
You gotta it's more of a challenge. Zombies, it's kind of a more boring, slow thing. But aliens, you got to be clever. I think aliens. I'm going for aliens.
Aliens.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go zombies too. Godzilla would just scare the shit out of everybody. It'd just be ridiculous.
yeah,
He'd take out whole buildings with one tail swipe. But
It would. And real quick, Culture Casino, friend of the show, for $4.99. I did not appreciate Kate today's imagery. Poor Odin and Offspring. So Culture's in our
yes.
our chat too. Yeah,
Thanks for the backup there, Culture. Appreciate
Oh
it.
my god! I told Kadish the one that he posted was way dirtier than the one I put in.
Yeah. Vader was like he posted it, and then he's like, I think this is funny. Then I posted, he's like, whoa. Wait a minute.
That's too
going
dirty.
too far.
Let's go.
Way too far. And I want to give a big shout out to our regulars. So we got our salty superstars, William Forbus, Scotty Dub, and the man of the day, Bob Dorsey. Thank you so much for all those gifted subs that you just gave us, Mr. Dorsey. That's very generous of you.
That was amazing.
And our loyalist, Joker Voice, and Mexican Iron Man, who already dropped us a super chat today. And our top gifters, might have to add Bob Dorsey into there for next week's show. Usually it's WG and Jillian, and we appreciate those.
Oh, yeah.
And speaking of super chats, we just got our other regular super chatter, Joker's Voice, for $10. Hail SMP, great panel. Shout out to Brian and the Popcast guys. Odin, you sexy bearded beast. Mr. Reagan, howdy, sir. Kadish Invader, happy holidays. And happy holidays to you, to Joker Voice.
Hashtag keep talking. I feel like that's usually in there.
Hashtag keep talking.
That is usually in there. Maybe he ran out of space. Hashtag keep talking for the Joker Voice. And Windy Hunter for $9.99. Merry Christmas early. You all cheer me up on salty Saturdays. I wanted me to spread some cheer to you all. Well, Wendy, we appreciate your $9.99. Thank you for spreading your cheer in the chat. Really appreciate that. All right, guys. So with all that out of the way, what do you say we get to talking about some stuff today for a change?
Are we actually starting off with the big story first? Because I feel like normally it's always like the last thing we talk about.
No, what we're going to be talking about is what a mess Marvel TV is.
All right, it's not Star Wars. We're safe. All right,
we're talking about that next.
Just wait. This is a general discussion topic that just came out because there were so many different news stories that weren't like really worth diving into individually, but as a whole, they kind of are. So one of the big things is that the Agatha show got yet another name change. So now it's called Agatha All Along, which doesn't really make any sense. And this is after Agatha Darkhold Diaries, Agatha Coven of Chaos, and Agatha House of Harkness. And Marvel just doesn't seem to know like what this show is about. It's like, okay, we took this character that nobody cared about in WandaVision, gave her her own show, and we don't even know what the show is about. But in addition to that, we also have news about Marvel's Echo series, which apparently was such a mess that Kevin Feige thought it was unreleasable, and that they had to go back and re-edit it and do a bunch of reshoots in order to just make it good enough to put out on Disney Plus.
That's wild.
And then finally, the big story today is that Vincent D'Onofrio kind of came out and started talking about the rebooted Daredevil Born Again. And apparently what's happening here is they were like, you know, our initial plan was to go in a different direction, but we're just going to redo the Netflix show. And one of the big things about this is that Marvel, to make it even more confusing, they're putting out a Marvel Spotlight banner, which basically means that any shows that are in the Marvel Spotlight are basically more character-based, aka cheaper, and they're going to be not connected to the greater MCU. So you don't have to watch. Yeah, you don't have to watch anything in the MCU to understand what's going on with Marvel Spotlight, and the stuff that happens in Marvel Spotlight isn't relevant to the MCU. So it's more of a standalone thing.
What a mess.
And that's what Echo is going to be under, and that's pretty much what all like the street level Netflix heroes are going to be under going forward in the MCU. But it feels like there is completely no plan relative to Marvel. And speaking of no plan, I want to welcome Tom Connors from Midnight's Edge, who just decided to join us.
Yeah, hey, Tom.
Perfect timing for the Marvel discussion, but I want to start with Odin. So Odin, it's obvious that Marvel's going through a major restructuring right now. Like with the actors and writers strike, they had time to kind of take stock of what they've been putting out and why it's been failing and all this other stuff. What do you think of this plan of basically creating like a separate label within Marvel where you can publish stuff and it doesn't matter?
It sounds really messy, and this is totally on brand for them, you know, because on the one hand, they think they're doing something smart because one of the things they believe to be why their films have not been doing well is because a lot of them have had content with basically a lot of homework to really be able to fully understand and appreciate. You go back to, Multiverse of Madness, and the understanding was, you have to watch this show and this show to really fully understand what's going on and how these characters got to where they are, and we'll maybe give some recap stuff in the movie, but not a whole lot. And so they think that is, I think, a primary reason as to why, even though I think that film actually kind of proves that that's not the case, because that film almost made, close to $1 billion, and it was all the other films that were just as reliant, maybe in some cases more, that just made less and less and less and less over time. I think that they kind of forget the fact that it's also about the quality or the lack of quality of their content more so than anything else. So again, it makes sense to an extent because they're trying to solve a problem, but all they're doing is just creating another problem, because now it's, so these are the shows we don't have to care about. These are the shows that do not matter. These are the shows that you're just still wasting money on. And I think it's hilarious that he said, or that the rumor is that Feige thought something was so bad that it couldn't be released, and yet he allowed the Marvels to get released.
Yeah.
And that film is the biggest MCU flop in the entire history of the MCU. So it's one of those things where I understand their mindset, but it sounds just like a complete and utter sham, and like they're just trying to hide the fact that they're out of ideas and they don't know what they're doing.
Well, Tom Connors Jr., you've been very vocal about talking about how Marvel doesn't know what they're doing. And it seems like even in their restructuring and they're trying to figure out what to do, they're still lost. Like they have no idea what to do with their TV shows. What do you think about this?
Well, I think the bigger problem here right now is they know they've got to reconfigure everything. Because as Odin said, they've basically backed themselves into a corner where you have to have seen all this other stuff to see their movies now. And I know that's probably one of the main reasons the Marvels did horribly, because people learned from Doctor Strange and a couple other films that come out in last year outside of Guardians of the Galaxy, that if you haven't seen every Disney Plus show and stuff like that, you're going to be completely lost. So at this point, it's crushing under the weight of itself. I think the audience has kind of had enough of the combined universe, multiverse crap. As far as, Kevin Feige and his, canceling of moving these shows over to a spotlight thing, basically these are just shows that are already done and they can't do anything with them. And if they fail, then they can just say, well, they're spotlights, so they don't matter. But if they work, then they can bring those characters into other stuff.
But
see, that'll be the bigger thing.
The Daredevil show they're completely redoing, right?
Yeah, because it only makes sense to him. I don't know why they're doing it this way. They could just pick up where they left off. There's nothing stopping them other than ego.
Very true. Mr. Reagan, also known as the Alpha Critic, when Marvel first started their TV division, they were like, "Oh, these are going to be like 8-hour movies. We're going to have movie quality stuff out there." And it turns out that most of the Marvel shows are super expensive. In fact, one episode of She-Hulk costs more than all of Godzilla -1. I believe a She-Hulk episode was like $25 million or something like that. And these weren't 8-hour movies. They were very episodic, very poorly done superhero TV shows that just cost way more than they should have. So what's your take on the current state of Marvel TV? Do you think that they're just throwing spaghetti against the wall, hoping something sticks?
Well, that's exactly what I was about to say. It's a spaghetti against the wall. It's quantity over quality. It's not just Marvel. Like DC is doing the same thing. Like there's 2 Jokers right now, and there's 2 Batman actors. Like it's like, how can you have at exactly the same time 2 different actors playing Joker and Batman? It's going to be confusing for kids. It's just, I feel like there's so much of an audience now worldwide. There's such a big audience that you can capture one audience with this, one audience with that, and they're getting a little bit greedy, and they're just trying to put as much content out there as possible without just sitting down and thinking just for half of a second, how do we make this good? And to me, the best stories, and I do this show every week called Make Movies Great Again. I do it with a former advisor to Trump called Sebastian Gorka. This is a radio show that we do. And we watch old movies from the 80s. We watch a lot of classics, right? We just did Crocodile Dundee the other day, right? And great movies. but the thing is, like, what's really amazing about going back and watching those movies is, like, a lot of those stories are kind of the same, but they're all really amazing. And it's these simple, overarching stories, like the guy, fish out of water story, or the guy, needs to get the girl, wants to get the girl, this kind of simple story. And I think traditionally those stories were compelling and popular and sort of recycled, and they became cliche, but they were so popular and done over and over again for a reason. And that reason is because people really like those stories. And the thing is, with creatives and with Hollywood, maybe they get a little bit bored telling the same story over and over again. But you can tell these stories in a different way if you're creative enough, and people really like them. And the reality is that leading characters who are men in action type scenarios tend to feel more appropriate, tend to seem more accurate to reality than these female action protagonists. At the time Buffy the Vampire Slayer came out, that was a novel idea. People thought that was a cool idea. Oh, this female protagonist, like, killing bad guys, she's got some superpowers, whatever, is cool. But that has become sort of established as, like, the norm now. Like, every character is a female lead. And it's gotten super boring. We were, like, super bored of it. And even when they have a male lead now, like with the show Loki, they got to put a woman in there to, like, put him in his place, or whatever. And this seems to be happening over and over and over again. Hollywood's got this mentality of, if we show a man, especially like a white male, we have to, like, have him, like, knocked down to earth by this sassy, cool female all the time, or, like, somehow subjugate him to the greatness of these other characters. And this has become cliche and boring at this point. But the difference between that and the cliche, boring, straight white male hero is that the cliche, boring, straight white male hero is something people actually enjoyed watching. Nobody enjoys watching this crap. And the stuff they're putting out, let me tell you, if they put me in charge of even just, like, one project, I would make absolutely 100% sure that was, like, Squid Game level popular. I'd be like, we're going to make sure that this shit is so fucking popular that it's, like, the biggest thing on television, that it causes waves all over the world. And nobody seems to care to do that anymore. They're just like, oh, let's just find this little audience, or let's just find that little audience. And so now you got just, like, 10 different garbage shows as opposed to, like, 3 or 4 really, really excellent ones. It's all quantity over quality, and it's irritating the shit out of me. Anyway, sorry, that was a bit of a rant.
That's okay. That's why we have you on. So Brian, one of the interesting things that Bob Iger has from on high decreed, like, we want to focus on quality over quantity, kind of, as Mr. Reagan was saying, which basically means, like, we don't want to spend as much money on making more shows. And in this stuff, especially when it comes to Kevin Feige, where he's like, these are going to be more character centric. That's just terminology by saying, like, it's going to be cheaper. Essentially, we're not going to throw as much money on these things for special effects and stunts and, like, whatever the case might be. And it does feel like a lot of the budgetary reins are being pulled back on these Marvel shows. As our resident DC Marvel expert, because you do run other channels on these things, what's your take on this? Do you think that Marvel can right the ship if they're forced to be more creative with less money?
Not with the current team, no, because the current team is more interested in the message than telling a proper story. Someone was telling me that they could just go back to the comics and just why are they even trying to go outside themselves and write new stuff when they have stories right there that people like? And I'm like, people don't like the current comics, and they haven't liked most comics for a while. So unless you're talking about going back 20 years, the message started in comics first when it comes to superheroes, and then it bled its way into TV and movies. So if the only way for them to right the ship is to be more concerned with the story and honoring the heroes and the characters that people love, and less with the message. And I don't think the current people in charge are interested in telling a good story. I think what they're interested in is the message. Except for I think James Gunn, David Zaslav, I think those guys are about making money. So it might be different with them, but we haven't seen anything yet. But on Marvel's side, Feige is a cuck, bro. He just like falls in line. The second someone says, the second some blue-haired liberal wants to do something, he just falls in line. He's either afraid of rocking the boat and losing that cushy job, or he agrees that the message is more important than the story.
Well, he is famous for saying that the Fantastic Four was too white, so we needed to cast a person of color.
Pedro Pascal, baby.
Yep.
Let's go.
Pedro Pascal, Disney's favorite go-to actor for diversity and inclusion.
He
Matt Vader,
looks like a white guy.
Yeah,
No.
he
Well,
does.
this is the thing about Latinos, right? Or Hispanic
Latinxes?
humans.
Latinxes.
Yeah, they're not necessarily not white, right? Because the ancestry is Spanish, a lot of them, right? But because there's some admixture with the native population with some of them, you get slightly darker tints, more melanin in some of these people. You get obviously some black mixing and stuff like that. So according to the left, if you are a Latino, even if you have just exclusively Spanish ancestry, you are essentially a European, then you get a pass. And I think Pedro Pascal is one of those essentially European Latinxes who just gets a pass. So yeah, the left is insane. They're just obsessed with race. They're obsessed with ethnicity, and they need to all just die.
The message.
Yeah.
Yes, the message. Matt Vader, we on the Salty Nerd podcast have watched a lot of these Marvel TV shows. We've reviewed some of them. And most notably WandaVision.
We did? I kind of forgot.
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Do better, Senator. So what's your take on this? Do you think Marvel can ever actually get their crap together and
no,
have
I
a good
don't.
show?
I don't think they're ever going to get it back. Honestly, they caught fire with the first couple phases. Robert Downey Jr. came in with Iron Man, and they just knocked a massive home run and sparked everybody's fire with that. And even all the normies loved it. My wife loved it. They were in, man. And then they wrapped it up, and we went straight to the MCU, straight to it. They didn't bother to look into the 40 or so years of content and all these comic books that they could have pulled around before they got to that stuff. They could have waited till the year 2075 before they ever would have had to touch any of that MCU garbage before they got there. And I don't know, man. I've said it many times on this Salty Saturday show. I am just tired of superhero shit. I'm over it. I'm done. They've just pounded our brains with it nonstop to where it sucks. It's no fun. We're having shows about somebody called Echo. What the hell is Echo?
It's Daredevil. It's discount Daredevil.
I don't know what this person is. I don't know who she is or what she does or where she's from. Never heard of her before in my life.
They have Daredevil. They have.
Did
Daredevil.
you guys see the Hawkeye show where she was introduced?
No. Oh,
okay. I actually watched that Hawkeye show, and she was the most boring character I've ever seen ever.
But here's the thing: I did actually watch parts of that show, and I forgot she was in it. That's how.
Yeah, that's how memorable she is.
Yeah. No interest.
Why would you take the most boring character from one show and go, let's give her a show?
Let's do that.
I mean, it's very obviously
at the end of Marvels, she was part of the end credits. Like it was supposed to be like, whoa, they're doing this, and I'm like, who's that?
Yeah,
who's that person?
And then we have the others, the Agatha Harkness one. Again, who cares? Who cares? Nobody's gonna watch this show. The only show that I have any interest in is this Daredevil thing. And it's only because they said that they're scrapping the stuff that they already made because it's just, I guess, awful. And at least Feige had enough smarts, I guess, to scrap it and go back to the drawing board and go, hey, maybe we need to make this more like the original Netflix version.
We'll never know if it was awful.
But it's not going to come out until 2025. We're not even in 2024 yet. You know,
That's a long.
There's-
When
there's-
these shows come out, nobody's going to be watching TV anyway.
No,
because
no.
everybody's going to be playing GTA 6.
right. And there's
true.
there's no reason to even have Disney Plus for the entire year of 2024. I'm a little bit intrigued by the Daredevil thing. Other than that, no, I have no reason at all.
On the
So-
Netflix Daredevil side of things, like I guarantee you, Feige had little to nothing to do with bringing that
Oh, no.
series back to Disney Plus. I guarantee you that was all Chapek because
Mhm.
that whole thing, they were going to go. They didn't have to. They were going forward, doing their own thing still, no matter what. That happened right after No Way Home came out, and Daredevil shot to the top of the Netflix charts again. So somebody over at Disney said, "Well, we need to get that back now,"
Yeah.
and they went and bought all the rights out. And it's like, okay, so why did you do that other than to just have those on Disney Plus? Because you're not continuing the series. Because that was all our thought at that point is like, well, clearly they're going to continue the series. Why else would you spend all that money on them? Makes no sense whatsoever, other than they're just greedy and they don't want them anywhere else.
Right.
That's really what it boils down to, basically.
Did you guys hear that in the comics they killed off Moon Knight and replaced him, a white man with mental health issues, with a black lesbian?
Didn't they
and
do that
fuck
in the show too? I didn't
I-
finish watching it, so
Once
No, they
again,
didn't do it in the show.
once again, Moon Knight. Who cares?
Yeah.
Nobody reads that comic book.
Who cares?
Who gives a shit?
what
Who
I thought was
cares?
funnier was that fucking what's his face, Nightcrawler. They changed his history and gave him basically the Cartman's mom episode background, where his mom is now his dad and his dad is a mom or some shit. I don't know. It's really dumb. It's like, what the hell are they doing
I just
and
can't.
why?
It's just the worst.
He's like a butt baby now.
Who's Moon Knight? Who is that?
It's probably Pedro Pascal, or no, the other guy that plays all the
No, no.
other roles.
It was the other guy that
No,
looks
I
like
know.
Pedro Pascal.
Oh,
It's the guy
it's
from the guy from Star
guy
Wars.
from X-Men.
Yeah, the X-Men guy too. The X-Men Star Wars guy. Is he Spanish or something? What is he,
Jacket
South
Boy.
American?
Yes,
He-
he is
he-
Latinx.
He's some other white diverse guy, right? Like Pedro Pascal. You know what I'm talking about? I forget.
Yeah,
his
we
name.
know who you're
Yeah.
talking about. We just can't remember his name.
Diverse, but still white.
He's Dime
Right.
Store Diego Luna.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, Oscar Isaac. Thanks, chat.
Oscar
I was a
Isaac.
stand-in for Oscar Isaac once.
How does
He
that
got to
work?
me
Congratulations.
once.
With a
He
girl you
got to me
dated?
once.
The girl you dated.
He's kind of a dick, actually.
You know, Vader,
Yeah.
do you want to make a statement about how fed
Oh.
up you are with all that stuff?
You know what? I do. Share my screen. Share that sucker. Look at this. This is my Disney Plus bundle account. Can you see this? Can you see what's going on here? I'm going to let me see.
Are you going to cancel it?
I think I'm going to cancel it. Change my plan. So in here.
Good for you, sir.
Let me see. We're gonna go
Well done.
down here. Disney bundle. What do I do?
No, you're
Scroll
paying
down,
way
scroll
too
down.
much, bro. Oh my god,
Shut
$30
up.
a month.
Let me
How
see.
much are you paying for this, dude?
I'm. Where do I do it?
Oh,
how-
18.
They're not going to let you cancel.
It's not gonna let me cancel.
Yeah, you're not allowed. By the way, it's actually a law. They just
Change
passed
my
it.
plan. Bundle.
You must have Disney Plus.
It's probably in a different spot.
They need to groom
Yeah,
your
no.
children, so you have to have it in your home.
Google it.
No, it's right here. I know
Are
it's
you
right
gonna
here.
Google how to cancel?
No.
Yeah.
This is why I use privacy.com. You just cancel the card attached to that account and don't even try anymore.
Man, it. Oh wait. I know it's here.
Delete account. There you go.
All right, somebody tell us a story whilst
This
we're
is
waiting.
great
I'm-
fun.
Great.
Great fun.
I like turtles.
Who cares?
Well, while Vader figures that out, we're gonna hit up some super chats real quick.
Okay, yeah, do that. It's a good idea.
Yes. So Gavin Blackburn for
Great
£1
TV.
49 pence super sticker. Thank you, Gavin Blackburn. Really appreciate that. And Late Night with Cap JT Gunn, a member for 10 months. Thank you so much for your membership, JT Gunn. Really appreciate it. So that new West Wing episode was a banger. LOL. Don't know what that's in reference to, but okay. And this is not a super chat, but it is something I wanted to highlight. This is from Anthony, YouTube fan. He says, Mr. Kadish, I wanted to congratulate you on finally getting a veiled admission from Mr. Mangold in his recent interview regarding Indiana Jones and the Dial of Descent. It's good to be right. Well, I am always right, and that is very good. So I appreciate that. And also, I want to give another huge shout out to Salty Superstar Bob Dorsey for gifting those 50 Salty Nerd Podcast memberships. Super generous of you, Bob, and you helped us hit our goal right off the bat and surpass it. So thank you very much for that. All right, guys. So since we have been talking about Disney and Marvel, we're going to talk about everyone's favorite subject next, which is Star Wars. And how they had no plan for the sequel trilogy. Now, what was interesting is that Variety.
Is this a repeat? We already knew this like 10 years ago.
Yes, we did. We did. But now we're getting even more confirmation. And this Variety article is very interesting.
Did we need more? I mean,
well, they highlighted that. So in a recent interview, because he's out doing press for his Ferrari movie.
I found it.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to go ahead and cancel?
Matt, that's more interesting because we already know about this shit, man.
Yeah, go back. Let's see. Watch me push the button. Push the button.
Push
tell me when you're there.
Push it.
Yeah, we're there. We're there.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Are you sure? It's gonna ask.
Continue to cancel.
We'll offer you all
cancel
deals.
subscriptions. Oh man, which one should I push? Cancel subscription.
I'm afraid I can't allow that, Matt.
Yes. Okay, I'm done. It's out.
Okay.
Please tell us why. Wait, tell them why you canceled, bro.
What do we?
Go to the bottom. Click on other. Click on
Go
other.
woke.
Other.
Go
Stop.
broke.
No.
Go woke. Yeah, go woke. Go broke.
Because you suck.
It's get woke.
Bitch.
Get woke, go broke. You gotta get it right.
That's right. Get woke. Go broke.
Get woke. Go broke.
Gina was right.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, Gina was right.
Gina was right. Anything else I should add?
Dr.
Bob
Hashtag
Iger.
dang it, Bob.
Bob Iger has small PP.
Oh, don't say that. Just say hashtag dang it, Bob. Really? Did Odin come up with that? Holy shit.
Dang it, Bob. All right.
Press F for feet.
Random, okay?
Press F for feet.
Oh, yeah. F for feet.
By the way,
Press
I love
F
you guys.
feet.
I love you guys.
All right, there we go. Submit. There it is. All
Change
right.
your mind? Are you sure?
Restart.
Are you sure? Imagine after all that, you hit restart.
All right. So for those of us who hadn't been paying attention for the past 10 years, in a recent interview, Adam Driver said that the original plan for Kylo Ren and the plan that he signed on for, it was going to be the opposite of Darth Vader's arc, where Vader starts off very solidly dark side and becomes, kind of like more, maybe this isn't the path for me. And then like he gets redeemed. And it was going to be the opposite, where Kylo Ren starts off kind of full of doubt and he becomes solidly dark side by the end of the trilogy. And so he was supposed to go like full villain by the end. He wasn't supposed to have a redemption arc. And it was kind of interesting because like he talked about how like the plan completely changed after The Last Jedi, where they were like, we're going to redeem him. And he was kind of like, that wasn't the arc I signed on for, but, whatever, it was, JJ's call. And in this article, they also talk about how originally, so the plan that JJ had was that Rey, what's her name? Daisy Ridley's character, was originally supposed to have a connection to Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like he was supposed to have some type of, family lineage with her. And that was what they told her when they were shooting The Force Awakens. And then in The Last Jedi, Rian Johnson came in and said, no, you're nobody. You're not going to have a connection to anybody. And she's like, okay, cool. And then when they started shooting Rise of Skywalker, JJ came and he's like, we're going to make you Palpatine's granddaughter. And she's like, oh, okay. And then when they started shooting, JJ kept going to her and he's like, yeah, we're not sure if we're going to do the Palpatine thing yet, or, like whatever the case may be. So they were actually shooting Rise of Skywalker, unclear on what, Rey's lineage was. And this just kind of goes hand in hand with what we were talking in the previous segment about Marvel, where there was absolutely zero plans. And not only that, but when they did have a plan, the plan kept changing to crazy degrees while they were filming. And this is probably one of the reasons why like the trilogy, the sequel trilogy turned out the way it did. Now, Matt Vader 74, I know
Yeah.
you hate talking about Star Wars.
I'd rather talk about
but
Star
what-
Wars than Marvel. But yeah.
What's your take on this?
I think it would have made for a much more interesting character arc, to be perfectly honest with you, if he would started out as confused evil and just got more evil as the movies went on. You know, and fully embraced the Sithness of his world.
Like he
I
kills
w-
like double the amount of
Yeah.
younglings than Anakin.
Yeah,
killed.
I would have been all in on Kylo Ren if they had actually given them a cool story. You know, Ben, screw that. Ben doesn't exist anymore. I'm soaking in all the evilness of the universe. I like it. I like what they could have done, but you know they didn't. So it's kind of a moot discussion. It's a moot point. I even was more on board with Rey when the rumors that she was somehow a Kenobi would have made way more sense to me. You know, she could have been like some weird cast off of Kenobi and Starbuck's sister. What was her from the Clone Wars? If they could have like worked that in there, and then you know the leader of Mandalore couldn't have had some illegitimate Jedi kid. No wonder she got sent on the desert planet to fend for herself. You know, that would have made much more sense than what they ended up doing. So I kind of wish they had stuck to their guns, to be honest with you. It was an interesting little blurb of a interview. I thought it was pretty fascinating, to be honest with you. It's a quick, easy 5-minute watch for that part. So yeah.
It also shows that like every time they interview an actor from the Star Wars sequel trilogy, they make it very clear that they were unhappy with how things turned out for their characters. You know, Jason Isaac said it. Was it the guy who played Finn? You know, has said it multiple times. It is kind of interesting John Boyega, thank you. It is kind of interesting to just see like how over time the actors are revealing more and more that they're kind of more aligned with the fans who didn't like the movies than they were with the fans who did. So I think that's quite interesting. You know, there was a theory out there not too long ago that Rey was actually like a clone of Luke because they found his hand, you know, in Sky City, and they somehow, you know, tried to clone Luke Skywalker, and Rey was one of like the successes, but it was like a cast-off type thing. That might have been good.
That would have been cool.
But you know, Brian, what was weird about the whole sequel trilogy was that there was no one overseeing the whole thing, and so when you had Rian Johnson come in, he went completely different direction than what, you know, the other filmmakers who were doing like the first movie and the third movie were doing, and he basically created a ending to all these stories, like killing off Snoke and, you know, like you know, the anyone can be a Jedi type thing, and it really split the fan base. And I think that that's something that has plagued Star Wars for a long time. Do you think there's anything they can do to actually reunite the fan base?
I don't think so. I think time heals all wounds, and they just gotta like wait. They gotta wait for all of us to forget or die off.
Put it away until my generation is dead, and then start over.
That's the key, bro. Like I'm so over. I don't care at all. Yeah. I care a negative amount about Star Wars to the point when I see a Star Wars headline, I just like internally groan. I just don't care. You need to wait until we're dead or we've forgotten. Yep. And I'm not going to forget for a while.
So you're in line with Rian Johnson, where it's kill the past?
No.
Wait for us to die.
Quit twisting people's words, man.
Yeah. Why you gaslighting me, bro? What's up?
Just saying. It sounds exactly like what Rian Johnson told the fan base to do.
I mean, what should we do? Should we forget about the last 10 years? How do you do that? Like, I mean, you would have to scrap the entire thing. Like, you know what will get me back on board? At least a little more excitement. We're rebooting Star Wars.
You know what would get me back on board?
Just tell me you're rebooting it, then I'll give you another shot.
Lesbian Jedi Masters and rocks. That's what I'm into.
Yeah.
So
I'd be
throwing some Kermit the Frog.
Put a chick in it, make her gay.
That's it.
Jason Momoa shirtless with a double lightsaber.
Sure.
I might consider it. I might.
Put a chick in it, make her gay.
Dude, I'm totally serious. If in like 2 years they're like, you know what, we're rebooting Star Wars back to the beginning. I'd be like, you know what? I'll give you a shot. You've already ruined my my universe. So just, you know what? Go, I'll give it a shot.
Ruin it some more. Do it. Let's go.
I mean, but if it's a complete reboot, I would have to at least, give it a try. But at this point, it's so deranged. I can't do anything with it.
As long as they make Darth Vader's helmet look less like a penis, I would be okay with it. I think going forward,
or just go full penis,
or just go full schlong.
Full
Oh yeah, okay,
full,
yeah,
full schlong. Like, it's even like it's a little taller. There's like a random dick vein coming out the bottom. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah.
The Force lightning come out the tip.
Yeah. He actually talks through the opening on the top. Yeah, I would like to see that.
And Odin's out.
I think Odin's been out since we started the segment.
You know what would buy some goodwill for me if they made like their version of Spaceballs.
They did already. It was called the Marvels.
Oh, you're right. My bad.
Tom, you mentioned you had a theory about something. You want to fill us in?
Oh,
on
that was the Snoke thing, and the whole reason why. Because look, this is we all know who to blame for this. It's pretty obvious. J.J. Abrams, Kathleen Kennedy, and Bob Iger are the three main culprits that destroyed the Star Wars universe. We can blame Rian Johnson too if we want to, but at the end of the day, whose fault was that? Kathleen Kennedy's.
Yeah, 100%.
Because what we have here is a situation where these dumb shits brought on J.J. Abrams at the behest of pretty much everybody else who just said, no, I ain't touching that with a 10-foot pole, which is basically Spielberg, Ron Howard, and every other major director they asked. And then Spielberg's suggestion was, well, why don't you get JJ? He's really good at this stuff. So they brought in JJ and they're like, will you do a trilogy? And he's like, no, I won't do a trilogy. I'll do one and I'll set you up, but that's it. Because according to him, he talked to his family and said, we don't want you gone for 3 years making these movies or 5 years or whatever it was. So he's like, all right, fine, I'm gonna make one. And he set him up with a plan. So it was already pre-planned that, yes, I believe in the original Inception, it was set up that she was supposed to be either a Kenobi or a Skywalker of some sorts. I mean, from the first film, if you watch it, to me, it feels like it's pretty obvious, and going along with the original films, that she's probably the daughter of Leia and Han, but she was hidden after, shit went south with Kylo Ben. So he couldn't get to her. And he probably has no idea she exists, which would go right along with the original trilogy. You have a brother and sister, although not twins this time, but the other doesn't know the other exists. Regardless, clearly he was supposed to go down a bad path because he killed both of his fucking parents, right? Like, how, at the end of the day, did he really kill Leia? No, in the movies, but that's how they should have made it. We all were prepared for it when it happened, but then when she started flying through space, we're like, what the fuck is this? But to get back to my theory thing, the reason I think Rian Johnson did what he did is because he took one look at the internet and everybody had 12 theories on who Rey was, 12 theories on who Snoke was. And he goes, how do I make all these motherfuckers wrong? Make both of them absolutely nobody. That's how you make everybody wrong. And so the 2 or 3 people that actually were smart enough to go Rey is a nobody are actually right, because that's the only way he could go about this and piss everybody else off. Yeah. And he did it on purpose. He said he did it on purpose. And you're right. He wrote the movie, Kate, she brought this up, to where there is nowhere to go with it logically. Absolutely no place to go. And the answer for that was when Trevorrow says, you have to leave Luke alive at the end of your movie, or I can't make mine. Because I have nothing to go with after this if you kill off Luke. Because we sadly lost Carrie Fisher in real life, and now I have to repurpose the 2 characters and flip them around. And Disney's like, nope, we're not going to do that. Even though we got a year to re-edit this thing and we could. Fuck you, man. And he just walked. He's like, well, fuck you too then. And then who do they bring back? They go crawling on hands and fucking knees to the guys who started the whole process. And this is exactly what J.J. fucking Abrams wanted from the very start, because he loves it when people are coming to him and their hands and knees and going, please fix this for us, J.J., just like Star Trek and everything else you did so wonderfully well. And if you think I'm full of shit, that's exactly how they think about him in Hollywood, because that's exactly what they wanted him for over at D.C., but he wouldn't do it if he couldn't have complete fucking control. And Matt Reeves had his Batverse and some other things going on that he couldn't handle. So he's like, well, I'll just do this then. And then they finally realized, oh, well, nobody's making any money off this shit except for J.J. Abrams. See ya. So at this point, this is where we are. Star Wars is dead. They have destroyed it. You had one shot, one last fucking shot with Jon Favreau. And what did they do? They fucked it up. They
Yep.
fucked that up too. You had every opportunity in the world to bring all the fans back with Luke Skywalker and Grogu walking off into the sunset, and you fucked it all up. Nobody would have cared about the Star Wars sequels from that point on. We could have meandered in this universe, in the Mandalorian verse, for the next 10 years, and nobody gave a shit.
Easily.
We need to clip that and put music to it somehow.
The Ride of the Valkyries, totally.
Something.
My theory is the whole time it was Ryan Johnson thinking he's a clever little bastard going, I'll make these two nobodies.
Yeah.
So yes, they were always meant. You can't tell me that she wasn't in some way meant to be a Skywalker, or at least, because why else would you have her there? You know, or if you're taking it away, Ben Kenobi, why would he have any relatives? He never fucked anybody.
Wow.
I mean,
And I don't have a brother or sister that we know about. He never talked about him. That's what the Obi-Wan show should have been about then. There you go. You had yourself set up all this time. If you'd have made her a Kenobi and explained it through an Obi-Wan movie, who the fuck she is, like a brother of Obi-Wan Kenobi or something like that, had a child,
Oh, that's good.
and he was killed,
Like
and
that.
Obi-Wan Kenobi took her and put her, you know, or had her put in, Luke had her, you know, had Luke do that for him.
Somewhere
He's a
where you
ghost.
keep an eye on him. Yeah.
Keep an eye on her. Exactly. What better place than where Luke was raised himself? See, that it actually makes sense. God forbid they do something like that.
You know,
Stop
Odin-
fixing their
Yeah,
shitty scripts. Okay.
Right. We've been fixing the scripts for the last 4 or 5 years now, right?
I'm done. Sorry.
It's all good.
Odin, I know that this is your favorite topic to talk about, Star Wars, but you know that this brings it to a larger point with Lucasfilm, where every single one of their major franchises, they didn't have someone at the helm who had a plan and someone to kind of oversee stuff and make sure that that plan was executed. When do you think they're going to get their act together? Because with the new Star Wars movie about, you know, the Jedi Academy and Rey leading it, nobody wants Rey back. Like, but they're like, oh, you're going to get Rey, you're going to get more of Rey, and you're going to like it. And that seems like a bad plan to me, especially considering after reading this stuff about how like they had no idea what to do with that character to begin with.
Yeah.
I was waiting for you to actually say, so what are your thoughts on this? Instead, you just kind of like let it open. Okay. So I guess for me, I look at this and I think it's never going to get fixed as long as the people running it are still running it. I mean, the only conceivable option is whatever takeover that might potentially happens. And if that does actually lead to that, then people like Kathleen Kennedy get fired. You just wipe everything out, basically. Like, say, everyone's fired. You fired. Because unless you actually clean house and then start over with people who actually know what they're doing at every single level and start hiring people based off of their actual talent and not based off of some DEI nonsense, guess what? You're not going to get any better. The movies are going to continue to lose money. They're going to continue to, you know, go further and further down. And just like we saw the biggest flop in MCU history with the Marvels, I suspect that the next Star Wars movie might actually be the same. And I base this off of the fact, if you look at every single movie that came out this past year from Disney, whether it's from Disney proper or whether it is from one of their ancillaries like 20th Century Studios, not one of them, bar just maybe one, arguably only one, made money. And the only one that actually made money was Guardians Volume 3. And even if you are the most conservative with your estimates on that one, you're talking tops 100 million. And that's conservative. Most likely, you're looking at it barely breaking even, if even that. So, especially if we find out that the film costs more than what they have, you know, reported that it does, and we know that Disney is kind of notorious for that too. So basically, if every single property, whether it's Marvel or any of these other, you know, kids content, whatever it might be, if all of those are failing, why would Star Wars not also fail in the future? Right? We've seen Solo lost money. We've seen that happen already. But I think the next mainstream one is also going to lose money.
You know, Mr. Reagan, so Odin brought up the DEI stuff, and I wanted to talk to you about that one because basically in the sequel trilogy, we had Adam Driver tell us that the plan was to make the only main white male character the embodiment of evil, and then replace all the legacy characters with women and people of color going forward. So what's your take on that? Is this a DEI initiative, or is this just Kathleen Kennedy being stupid because she hates men.
Well, it's irrelevant. It's just this is the way Hollywood is going. Adam Driver is an interesting straight white male because Adam Driver is sort of, I don't know, he's like the quintessential hipster. Like, does anyone, show of hands, does anyone actually enjoy watching Adam Driver in anything?
Not really.
I do.
Hey, Odin. Okay,
Yeah, my brother Shane loves Adam Driver, but I'm
so
not like whatever.
Shane and Odin have just exposed themselves as having bad taste. Fantastic. I love that.
I'm not.
So,
Who's Shane?
James Bryan's brother.
Oh, I said yes. I think he's all right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Tom as well.
Tom also thinks he's all right.
He's not a bad
I don't know,
actor.
Adam.
He's not bad. I
Adam
don't really
Driver,
care.
He's like a big shaggy dog. There's nothing.
Well, I know
enjoyable
why they
about-
picked him. He reminds me of a young Harrison Ford in kind of a way, a rugged Harrison
Really?
Ford kind of sort. Like he's not
Okay.
your typical leading man type. He's got kind of
No.
that strange
Yeah.
face, but you can still see how women can find him attractive and whatnot. But
Yeah, no, yeah, totally. No, normally leading men aren't ugly losers, and in this case, they went a different direction. But no, like okay, so this is to me as like a writer myself. One thing that just drove me crazy: the film of the three new films, of the three sequels, people prefer the first one. Like people like the first one better than the other.
And
Yes.
Disney just took out Mr.
Oh,
Reagan,
yeah.
everybody.
Yeah,
He,
Disney was like, get that man off YouTube.
Speaking of Disney, I do have an update. They're very sorry to see me go.
Well, okay, so look, everyone would be very sorry to see you go, Matt Vader, but Disney in
know.
particular, yeah, because there's money, a little bit of money. So look, when The Force Awakens came out, it was just essentially a carbon copy of the original Star Wars film, A New Hope, right? It was just a carbon copy of this. Oh, let's do a Death Star, but we can't make it a Death Star, so let's make it a Death Planet. We'll just make it a little bit bigger. And I feel like that's kind of what they ended up doing throughout. So they're like, okay, we're going to make Adam Driver's character the embodiment of evil and like basically the new emperor and this horrible evil guy. But then they're like, well, but he's kind of like Darth Vader, and Darth Vader has a redemptive, story arc. So maybe we should give him a redemptive story arc. And they're like, well, Rey is the new Luke, and Luke was the son of the evil Darth Vader. So maybe we should make Rey the granddaughter of the evil Palpatine. It was like, I kind of understand this because originality is hard, right? Like it's difficult to come up with new stuff that's good, especially if it's something as epic as Star Wars. Like, how are you ever going to reach that level of awesomeness with an original story? So, corporate America is just going to take the safe route and go, well, let's just try to copy what was already done. Unfortunately, if you copy it and it's a little bit worse than what was done before, everybody's like, what the hell is this? It's like a cheap, crappy copy of what we have already seen. So they really should have just, here's the thing that really disappoints me about Hollywood. These are supposed to be the best story writers in the world, right? They're spending millions of dollars on this stuff, hundreds of millions of dollars on these films. And you can't get a story that's compelling. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, everybody in this room in this virtual room, has presented objectively better story ideas than what we actually got. And that's just the six of us, right? Like, if you just look throughout the world for better story ideas than what we got from the sequels, you're going to find them. They just didn't work hard enough. It was just lazy. It was just, they were just trying to cover their butts in terms of let's make as many people as possible happy. And then they made no one happy, obviously. They just wanted to make money. And you know what? We've seen this already. The merch was like a huge failure, right? Nobody bought the Rey action figures. Nobody bought any of that stuff. And I think they care a little bit more sometimes about the merch and the longevity and how can we spin this off and stuff like that. They've got all these ideas in their head about how do we optimize these projects, and then they make them absolute garbage. So I think they just need to go back to the fundamentals of good story writing.
Well, that's very true. I think that there was something that came from the Bad Robot incubator of future Hollywood creatives, where they said that if the audience guesses or comes up with something good, we can't go with that. We have to surprise
Right,
the audience.
right.
We have to do something different than what the audience expects. And you've seen this time and time again with like Game of Thrones and, you know, like all this stuff where it's like, oh, if the audience knows what's coming, then they're not going to like it. But there is a mentality out there where it's like, give the audience what they want.
Can I comment on that real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I just because I've written stuff expecting some members of the audience to get it. Like I've written stuff that I thought, I want to make this into a TV show. This is the story arc. There will be people talking online about how to do this. I get too excited and I knock stuff over. There will be people talking online. Okay, how is this going to end? Like, how are they going to do this show? And I'm like, some people will be right. Some people will be right, but I'm okay with that. Why? Because there's two things that happen when an audience watches a film with like potentially a twist ending or something cool at the end. They either are shocked by it. They're like, oh, that was awesome. Or they go, I knew it. That's so great. I got it right. Both of those reactions are both good, right? So you don't have to make sure everybody's wrong and you got to outsmart everybody. Like, chill, dude, chill. You can have 10% of the audience figure it out ahead of time, and it's not going to be a huge disappointment. Like, those people are going to be like, ha, 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 I was smart. I figured it out. Let them have their moment. It's fine. If you're going to try to outsmart everyone, you're going to end up with like a shitty ending. And by the way, talking about shitty endings, J.J. Abrams, I don't think he's ever written a movie or TV show without a shitty ending. It's like, if you want to guarantee a shitty ending, hire J.J. Abrams.
That's so true.
Yeah,
I'm still pissed about Lost. Like, I invested so much time in that TV show, and then was like, I'm sorry, they're in what? Purgatory? What? Oh my God, I was so mad.
That was more Damon Lindelof than J.J. Abrams. Though.
Still mad about it. I don't care who it was.
It's the same thing. It's the Bad Robot incubator of Hollywood talent, which gave us Alex Kurtzman as well. So don't forget that. I think that there is something to be said where, like, if a large portion of your fan base comes up with a theory that they're excited about and that they like, not giving it to them just because they already came up with it isn't always the best strategy. It's like sometimes you want to give your audience what they want, and that can be a positive thing. All right, real quick, we got some super chats to get to. Darth Maul's lower half for €5. Star Wars was doomed the moment they announced Jar Jar as director. His Star Trek reboot was awful. I'm going back to Star Wars Expanded Universe stuff, books and graphic novels. Cool. That is a good way to go. And we have a $9.99 super chat from Christopher Mays. Thank you, Christopher. Star Wars can instantly be saved by making a Darth Jar Jar show. Yes. Jar Jar Binks as a Sith Lord. I am there for it.
Yeah, I'm there for it too.
Yeah, totally.
Did
you guys ever see that conspiracy theory about how Jar Jar was actually like secretly working behind the scenes?
Dude, Brian made a 2-hour documentary exploring that very thing.
Yeah, you missed it, bro?
Yeah.
I did miss it. Yeah. I just saw it on
Good
Twitter.
stuff.
And I want to give a big shout out and a huge thanks.
You mean the story we reported like 6 years ago?
Yeah, that one. That's the one.
Yeah, we're catching up to you, Tom.
Yeah.
That's just what it's all about.
We just live in your world, Tom.
Yes,
That's it.
We're just passengers.
We did invent the 25% different thing, right? You know that, right? Like, that's where it comes from.
Yep.
But I want to give a big shout out to Jillian N for gifting.
Well, we didn't
5.
invent it. We discovered it, I should say. But yeah, the meme, I should say, we invented.
Jillian, I promise one of these days I'm going to be able to.
Thank you, Jillian, for all your gifted memberships. You are a beautiful human being, and we appreciate your support, Jillian.
Yes, thank you, Jillian, for your 5.
Jillian, we love you. We love you.
Jesus Christ.
We do.
We love you.
We love you.
I think you're pretty cool. How's
And
that?
you know who else we love, right? Twitch, in particular, when they
man.
allow female nudity to go just
Oh, that segue.
that shit crazy.
That was awful. That was a terrible segue.
That was a pretty
Well,
Our apologies, Jillian.
I had something better lined up before Tom kept interrupting me. But, guys, so the big news in gaming this week was that
I've been quiet the whole show.
Twitch updated their sexual content policy guidelines to include a very broad range of what they termed artistic nudity. And this was already coming off the heels of the new booby meta, which is basically female streamers who are completely topless, and they cut off right above the nipple on their webcam frame, because as long as you don't show nips, you're safe on Twitch, right? And so once this happened, the floodgates of pornography opened up on Twitch for a very brief period of time, where basically you had streams where people were using AI to generate photorealistic pornographic images. You had artists who were making furry porn, which is basically like animals with huge schlongs. Then you had like anime porn, where like they were making they were drawing anime girls with huge breasts, squirting milk out of them.
The internet is so.
I'm glad my face is blocked by the salty
and
nudity.
then
Oh gosh.
VTubers took this to the next level, where they had their virtual avatars being completely naked Japanese women, right?
Of course they did. Of course they did. Of course they did.
And so basically, like, as soon as these new terms dropped, the internet went and abused the crap out of them. And that forced Twitch to basically 3 days after they announced this stuff to pull back on it and say, like, okay, guys, we made a terrible mistake.
3 days. It was 24 hours, dude.
There is no more artistic nudity allowed on the platform. And a lot of people are claiming that Twitch acted so fast, because they're notoriously slow in changing stuff. But Twitch acted so fast because basically all the advertisers who spend money to advertise on Twitch had brand safety concerns, where it's like, hey, you just turned your website into a porn site, essentially, and we don't want to spend money to associate our brands with stuff like that. Now, Brian, you have a great reaction to this. I'm going to go to you first. What's your take on the artistic nudity thing?
I can imagine some executive over there like
he's done. You can
like,
hold yourself.
He's like, hey, so how we just made that content, the TOS change? Yeah. There's a flood of naked horse people with giant penises everywhere, and there's anime girls with huge boobies, and they're shooting milk on like weird creatures. What are we gonna do? And they're like, change it back.
For the money. No advertising.
They have 3D incest everywhere. I don't know what to do. It's fucking people shredding papers. You're walking through the Twitch offices. There's some guy on fire just coming out the window.
Whose idea was this?
It's like, welcome to the internet, guys. What did you expect to happen? What did you expect? I just sometimes I love the internet so much because of how horrible it is on an entertainment level. You can never give anyone anything without it becoming some kind of like manga, anime, furry, incest convention every single time.
The world is basically a giant 5th grade classroom.
It really is, bro.
Right?
Oh God, it's so funny though. It's so. Just imagine giant penises on furries.
It's just ridiculous.
On screen.
And the VTuber thing. Like, oh my God. I looked at a couple screenshots. I'm like, holy shit. This is obvious. It's like hardcore pornography.
Oh yeah. It went from softcore to hardcore. But I want to throw this to Odin because I know he's ashamed of his appearance today. Odin, I keep thinking about like the thought process behind like this initial terms of service change, where it's like we're going to allow artistic nudity. And I feel like the higher ups at Twitch were like, well, like the statue of David, Michelangelo, like we shouldn't be penalizing people who actually have like a legitimate desire to like explore the human form or like draw or paint or like whatever. and then it just
I
went
remember that
horribly
episode of
wrong.
The Simpsons.
Horribly wrong.
But what
so-
about the furries?
Yeah, they
You
didn't
know what's
take into
great
account
about
the
this
furries.
is that it's a bunch of people who just totally proved us how fucking depraved they are. Like they just proved our point instantaneously. Yeah, like yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I love how Brian's just completely lost it here.
It's so funny.
But I want to throw this to Odin in terms of like in upper management and the people who are the decision makers. How could they have not foreseen this, do you think?
Because we live in an age where if you're not depraved, it seems, working in one of these major industries, then you're an idiot, right? I just, again, that seems to be the case where they just don't understand. It's kind of amazing that these people are running these companies and making decisions for these companies, where you would think knowing that or just understanding how this stuff works would be, right? So that you wouldn't even have had this problem in the first place. So that there's that factor of it, and then there's also just, again, the concept of the depravity itself. And so that's why for me, and I understand that some people might find it entertaining. For me, it just reminds me of how dark the internet is, and how disgusting it can be, and just how many people need help, because it's not just about the people who put the content on there and were hosting it. Think about all the people that were watching it and consuming it, and not because they were laughing at it, but because they actually wanted to watch it. They actually wanted to see it. And so I think that really, in a way, it's obviously not good that they did this, because I don't think that anyone who gets exposed to that kind of stuff for even a second, I don't think it's healthy for them to do so. But at the same time, it also exposed, one, that there is clearly that very hyped demand for it, unfortunately, and also that these people running Twitch have no idea what they're doing. And the fact that especially they're running a platform that features mostly gaming, right? Twitch is known as a gaming platform, which means you have a higher concentration of kids on that platform. Makes it even more depraved, because think about all of the kids who had access to that content for X amount of time, who may have either never been exposed to it before, or maybe have been struggling with having access to those kinds of things. It's disgusting.
Yeah,
There's already places for that. Like, there's places for that content. Like, it shouldn't be on,
I mean, look,
an
Brian,
open-facing website.
I hate to interrupt, but we need to quit pretending that Twitch is the website of virtue here when it comes to what they put on their channels. I mean, everybody knows that I recently have sort of gotten back into World of Warcraft with this new release they got coming out. So I'm looking for new people to follow, to get advice and stuff like that. And I'm on Twitch last night. This is after they've already banned everybody. I need to share my screen here really quick. See if I can figure out how to do it again.
All the furry accounts.
No. There's no furry. But I just want to show you guys what I'm sorry, I'm kind of retarded here.
It's the present button.
But I get it. So there, go ahead and share that, Matt. And this is what I come up with. This is after everything, all the other stuff's been banned, right? And if you look on the side over here, it says recommended channels. I was looking for World of Warcraft, and we have this chick called Fandy, and I'm like, oh, okay, a World of Warcraft player. But all of a sudden I pull this up, and I'm like, oh, well, man, she's nice. And she just sat there and talked about how bad furry porn was for a half hour, and never once played the World of Warcraft a single time. World of Warcraft.
But she's in the World of Warcraft
she's
category.
got 724 viewers right now, and if you look at her sub count, she's at 838 of her 1100 goal for the day. But she's not playing World of Warcraft. She's playing, hey, look at my boobs. And this stuff is all over Twitch, and it's kind of stupid. It's ridiculous.
I don't know what the restrictions are either on that content. I don't know if you have to sign up for a certain account, if
no
they have
restrictions.
if there are any safety net for kids. Because to me, it's like if you want your platform to be open and available to kids to watch, especially for gaming streams, I'm sorry, if anyone has OnlyFans in their account, they should be X'd immediately if you actually care. If that is something that they actually care about.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I actually want to throw this to Vader to go a little bit deeper, because you and I have had conversations before where it's like, if you're a male streamer on Twitch, you actually have to be good at the video game in order to build a following.
Yeah, right.
If you're a female streamer, You just have to show a little bit of cleavage and
Just be
show up.
hot.
And
It's gotta be
most of these girls who are on Twitch use it as a feeder into their OnlyFans accounts,
Mhm.
and that's how they get OnlyFans subscribers. So I wanted to get your take on it, because we've had the hot tub meta on Twitch, which is basically live streaming in bikini, in swimsuits, in a hot tub, and it's just girls chatting with the chat in their bikinis. And now we're moving into the topless meta, which is basically girls are just streaming in the nude, basically, but they're just not showing the nips.
Right.
And you're getting guys who are throwing them, simps who are throwing thousands of dollars at these girls. And it can be really frustrating as a dude to be like, it's so easy for them to make money and do all this stuff by exploiting themselves. What's your take on this?
Look, I don't really have a problem with hot women doing this kind of stuff, but they need to do it in the areas where they're supposed to be doing this stuff. There's some moral issues and that kind of stuff, but I'm not here to debate that. I don't want to be going through for the World of Warcraft channel, for example, and have to navigate through the titties and the ass when I want to watch people play the game so I can learn how to play the game better, or just have some fun with fellow gamers. This kind of stuff where they're just inserting themselves into all these other categories and everything. It's ridiculous, and yeah, they do have an advantage because, us males, we produce this thing called testosterone, which makes us really stupid. I'm not gonna lie. It makes us really dumb. We go, boobies, and then we pull out our wallet and we start doing this. That's why there's an entire industry 5 miles away from my house. There's
wait. Then we start doing what?
We pull out our wallet and we start shelling money at.
That's.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were doing something else.
I thought that was something different.
Hold on. Okay, but that too, exactly. And there's a lot of that going on, but that industry it's all, like I said, there's 20 giant strip joints down the street from my house, 5 miles from here, that does that whole thing. But it's weird how it has put itself into the gaming world. And it's kind of frustrating because there are a lot of guys out there like me, and I'm sure Brian has streamed some games that, we sit there and we try, we'll do it for a year and we'll be happy with the 7 people watching our stream.
I think I popped out at like 43 people. And and
it's like, oh man,
yes, trouble.
I got 6 people tonight. That's amazing. And then you go over to Candy or whatever the heck her name is, and she's just sitting there with her boobs out, and
she's not even, and they're not even, sometimes they don't even do anything. They're just sitting there and they're on their phone, scrolling their phone, no words, nothing. You're like, why does she have 4,000 viewers?
It's like,
right now?
it's like it doesn't help. It doesn't help the whole thing where it says girl gamers are fake, and I feel bad for the actual few girl gamers that are actually out there, because there's not a lot that have to deal with all of this nonsense to break through.
Listen, there's an obvious solution that you guys are missing here, okay? And a huge opportunity, all right? Vader, Brian, you guys just got to show a little nip.
Yeah. No, nobody wants to see that.
You guys are going to
Nobody
make
wants to see
scratch.
that.
I've done that.
Okay?
I've
got to show their feet. They got to show their feet.
Show your feet.
I only get naked on Culture Casino's channel.
Culture had the biggest topless stream of all time.
That's right.
That's true.
That's right.
But Matt, you brought up a good point. I want to throw this to Mr. Reagan, which is basically, when you have girls who are not talented at the video games, but they know that this is where there's a massive male audience, and so they objectify themselves by doing like topless streams or hot tub streams or what have you. And there's no talent involved. Either they fake playing video games, or they're really bad at video games, or they don't even play video games at all. They just sit there and talk to the chat. And so the girls who are actual gamers are on there and they don't want to be objectified, and they just want to play video games and they want to have fun. This type of subculture, this over-sexualized subculture on Twitch, actually hurts, like women trying to get into the gaming space, and it makes it difficult for all of them, because the male gamers, however old or young they are, like, they don't respect them because you have all these other women out there doing this other stuff. So, like, do you think that there's any solution to this, or is it just one of those things where Twitch needs to actually ban this type of behavior?
Yeah, I mean, welcome to reality. young 13, 15-year-old boys like naked women. Shocking. I know. Oh my gosh. When I was a kid, I remember a teenager. I remember there was a comic book called Lady Death. Do you guys remember this comic book in the 90s? And like Gen 13 and these comics came out. I would never have dared buy one of these comics because, I would have forever had to hide it from my parents. But you'd go to the comic book store and you look at these comics, you'd be like, holy crap. Like, it was essentially pornography for children. You know what I mean? And that's what we're getting here. And if you go on Instagram, good Lord, Instagram is just like unbelievable levels of pornography on that channel to a degree where it's like uncomfortable sometimes because some of the girls are so young. It's like, how is this like legal that they have this on here? I mean, it's depressing because it indicates just like, what the world actually is. If you let it happen, just about any website will degenerate into a pornography website, which I'm sure that Salty Nerd will eventually become a porn podcast if we get Chrissy Mayer on here often enough. Sure. But yeah, I mean, that's just human nature. So you do have to, like, if you do want to create a, as the leftists would call a safe space for actual, like, legitimate legitimate gamers and stuff, you do have to regulate that kind of thing, and you do have to be pretty strict about it because, and I think it's a really hard thing to stop happening. It's such a powerful impulse for people to want to look at like hot chicks and for hot chicks to want to show their tits to get money. It's just like it will always become that if you don't like hardcore regulate it. Never mind the pun of hardcore. You guys understand what I'm saying. Like, it's a tough thing to do, and you have to be very strict about it. I'm sure there's, a libertarian side that'll say, just let it all become porn. And then there's a more sort of like, what would you call, like, Christian fundamentalist side that would say, you got to just make sure everything is, everybody's, dressed head to toe in some kind of cloth thing. But, look, it's a tough thing. They got to figure out what they want their website to be. And, they got to figure it out. But it's difficult because of human nature. We are all, at the end of the day, we're all, pretty animalistic. That's gentlemen.
Man, I just pulled up Twitch just now. And because I went to that chick's site last night for 5 minutes, all of my recommendations right now are cleavage channels.
I made the mistake
ridiculous.
I made the mistake once of like clicking on a recommendation to see some like interview with Emma Watson on Instagram. For like a month after that, everything in my recommendations was Emma Watson. Like there's a huge Emma Watson like fan base of like young guys, which I didn't even I was not aware of. But there is some kind of like obsession. Like she's one of these people that there's an obsession over her. Those recommendations can be tricky.
Let me clue you in on something. If it has a vagina. Men will tend to find a way to want to stick their dick in it. Okay, it's just human nature.
No, but I think Emma Watson in particular. I don't know why.
So basically, any woman and every woman on the planet, no matter what size, shape, in any case, gender in some cases now, will have a whole league of simps because they think there's a chance in hell. They're like Lloyd Christmas in fucking Dumb and Dumber. He thinks there's a chance, 1 in a million, and they all do it. Like we've seen it in full effect where these guys pay hundreds of thousands, if not more, money to these women, and they never get anything out of it, obviously. But what was it, just like 2 weeks ago? You had that one guy. How much money on that one chick?
It was 40,000.
It was 40,000.
A lot more than that, man.
No, you're talking about the second person. The first one was 160,000. He spent $160,000 on one woman, and then it came out 2 days later. Another OF model was like, "Oh, he's my fan too," and showed her account, and it was like $640,000 to $60,000. He has at least two people he has spent over $100,000 on. That's
I wish we all had super fans, but it's crazy.
To answer Mr. Reagan's question, so like there's a whole generation of men who grew up watching Harry Potter and Hermione Granger. And have
yes, that is exactly what it is. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I was too old at the time that the Harry Potter movies came out to think of Emma Watson like that. So I was actually quite surprised to see that.
Oh yeah, any female character has a whole demographic of Sims. I mean, just look at the bronies, for fuck's sake. They don't even have to be
That's
humanoid.
weird. That is weird. I don't
Yeah.
understand that at all. That's
It's not even humanoid. Yeah, it's a good
But I
point.
haven't seen the cartoon, so maybe I should watch it.
Don't
watch it.
Don't worry about it.
If
Next
he
thing
comes on
you
the,
know,
he
he's
comes
gonna
on
be
the
a
show next
brony.
week. He's wearing like a brony shirt.
Friendship is magical and shit. Like,
So-
what the fuck?
What
Let me,
did he do?
I gotta hold on just a second. So
I should do that just for because it's funny.
I think Starlight's very attractive. Or whatever her name is.
so they changed they did the thing and then they changed it back, right? And I took a screenshot of what stuff is still allowed. And I want to just I'm going to read this thing from my phone. It says other changes in Twitch's sexual content policy are still in effect. While Twitch does not permit streamers to be fully or partially nude, it is now allowing content that deliberately highlights breasts, buttocks, or pelvic region, as well as body writing and body painting on female presenting breasts and or buttocks, regardless of gender. With the sexual themes label, in addition, dances such as twerking, grinding, and pole dancing are now allowed with a label.
Yeah,
So-
so I wanted
Female
to throw this.
presenting.
Let's say, yeah,
I wanted to throw
female
this-
presenting.
Yeah, I wanted to throw this to Tom. So, Tom, you know, Amazon or Twitch is owned by Amazon, right? And Amazon has been taking a loss on Twitch since they bought it. But what they were trying to do here with like the artistic nudity and stuff like that was they were trying to section it out from normal content by adding labels. And so, like, if you had these labels on there, it would prevent users who were like under the age of 18 from like getting access to it. But obviously, there's a brand safety issue here where it's like, even if you section off this stuff for an 18 and over audience, people don't want to advertise on the platform because all of a sudden the platform becomes associated with that stuff. Even if they have like millions of gaming streams going on at the time, people still say, oh, there's porn on that site. And so brands don't want to be associated with that, and therefore they lose out on all that sweet advertising money. So do you think that there's ever a way where Twitch can fully embrace like the more kind of like, I guess, adult 18 and over type content without pissing off advertisers?
Well, I mean, basically, I mean, I understand where advertisers are come from, because let's be real. When we were younger, we were the ones our parents went to program the VCR because they didn't know how to. Just like now, for years, when I didn't know how to do something on the computer, I went to my kid, right? So kids know how to do this stuff much easier than adults do. So you put pornography out there. You guys have made the point, and it's really true. Kids will find a way, right? They always will. But as far as like being able to monetize it in a way and also have it as a part of the platform and not piss off the advertisers, there's only one way you can do that, and that is make it subscription based. So you have to be an adult, right? So like, that's really it. And if they resist that sort of idea, then clearly they're trying to peddle porn to our kids. Let's be fucking real. There's no other answer there, because if you clearly are trying to do what Matt you're saying, like with this artistic nudity crap, however you want to put it, like at the end of the day, fine, put it behind a paywall. Adults have credit cards, and as we just talked about, men will pay for pussy. It's just a fact of life. So in that respect, put it behind some subscription, Twitch Plus or Twitch Adult or whatever, and you can also put other content on there that
Twitch
isn't
After Dark.
Yeah, Twitch After Dark.
That's actually a very good idea.
And not only that, it could be very lucrative for them at the end of the day.
Make it separate from the gaming side, though. They have to make a new platform. I mean, I'm looking
to make a new platform.
I just pulled up their just chatting section. It's literally nothing but topless chicks down to the top of their nipples. It's gross, dude. I mean, look. I'm a dude. I'm like, wow.
It's like
this
one
is
random guy is like, hey guys, you want to talk about Sunday school?
It's like you scroll down. There's like through like 50 of them of topless chicks, and then there's a guy being Santa Claus right in the middle of it all. It's really weird. It's so. I go to Twitch. I want to watch people play games. I know it's a weird thing, but I like to play games. I like to watch people play games, and I don't want to have to navigate my way through TV channels to watch the one dude that I want to watch play games. I think it's absurd.
And if Twitch decides that they just want to go full on, let's like let whatever happens, and it becomes essentially like a porn streaming site, there will be another competitor that comes out and becomes a gaming streaming platform. Hopefully, presumably, that will happen. That's how the market tends to work.
Right.
But if Twitch wants to stay the sort of premier game streaming channel, they're going to have to.
Well, ironically,
regulate.
Chris, there is a competitor. It's called Kick,
Okay.
and they're full pornography and full gaming. Like it's basically
Yeah,
anything goes.
but they're upfront there about it. That you
I
know
see.
what you're getting
Yeah.
involved there. It's
That or
they're,
just
they're
create an
funded,
offshoot
they're
called
funded by
Twerk.
they're funded by gaming. There you go.
Ooh, I like that.
Call it twerk.
I
It's just
think,
like-
guys, we have a good business idea. Let's go to Shark Tank. Let's do it.
I think so.
Oh.
I think fuck Twitch.
Twerk.
We'll just make our own version. Twerk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Twerk.
I love it.
Twerk.tv. That's a great idea.
Literally, just let them go ham wild on it. Be like, look, everything, just as long as it's within legal standards, go for it. Like, we're not going to kink shame here.
Welcome to Twerk.tv.
Well, but the whole business model here, right, is that so you have stuff like My Free Cams and websites like that, which allow girls to like do this stuff, OnlyFans, things like that. But what they use Twitch for, it's a feeding system into sites like that, because as long as they're segregated, like people have to actively seek them out. But if you go to Twitch looking for video game content and you get exposed to these streamers and then you become followers of them and then you're like, oh, they have an OnlyFans, I'm going to go check out their OnlyFans. Like it's a feeding system that they're using because the audience that they want to tap into is there. Whereas if you segregate them out, they're still going to go to where the audience is to try to siphon them off somewhere. So it
this is
feels like
actually-
a losing proposition.
I actually think this is a really destructive thing for young men, because if you're like, let's say you're a fat kid, right? Like my buddy Kurt was a fat kid, and he started working out when he was in high school to get shredded, and he got pretty good. Like he got a pretty good physique, handsome guy. He could go out in the world and he could get chicks after that, right? But had he been in high school exposed to this sort of shit, and started into that like paying girls online, then you don't have to look good. You know what I mean? There's this sort of online thing. And I think some guys do get trapped into this lifestyle of like having these virtual girlfriends and shit where they're paying over $100,000 for a girl if they're like probably the son of an oil baron or some shit. I don't know how that guy has
Or just a
money. That's
Bitcoin,
insane.
or just a Bitcoin investor or something.
Whatever it is. Exactly. Yeah. If a guy can make a little bit of money and he can get these girls this way, maybe he doesn't improve himself in real life. Maybe he doesn't figure out how to go talk to girls in real life. I think this online thing can be, just like
to be destructive.
incredibly destructive. I think on a societal level,
It's like the whole thing where the future of human race is just a bunch of fat, gross people in closets watching TV screens.
yeah, that's where we're going.
That's where we're heading. So yeah,
But I mean, I
don't.
don't think everybody would end up like that, but you do get a subset of society. And to me, I want to protect those guys. I feel like, you got to fight for the people who are a little bit vulnerable. And I think those are, that's a vulnerable class of people given this new technological situation we're in. So I feel sad for those guys. I hope we can do something to help fix that. But I don't know. I think that's the way it's going. I don't know if it can be.
I don't think Twitch is doing anything to help it.
Well, that's where they get most of their revenue from, are these
Yeah.
simps throwing thousands of dollars and taking a cut of it. Odin, I want to end this conversation with you because there are some like moral implications to allowing this stuff on there, where basically you have a section of Twitch which attracts men who are kind of predisposed towards video games, and you present these girls as like a girlfriend simulator, where it's like you find an attractive girl and you enter in the chat and she actually like responds to you, and you're like, oh my god, I haven't talked to a girl in so long, and you start to
My whole life.
you start to kind of perpetuate that interaction cycle where it's like, I don't need to go out and get into a healthy human relationship. I have my girlfriend who I can just hop on and pay her money to pay attention to me, and I get the the emotional payoff of interacting with a human female. And there is an argument to say that is very, very destructive. Do you think that there's anything that can be done to fix that?
I mean, it is destructive. I think we've already seen this happen, especially since COVID, with the rate of depression, of anxiety increasing exponentially amongst kids. And many of those kids are now starting to, many of them are entering into college or beyond, right, who were impacted by some of the isolation that was brought on by those unlawful and really immoral lockdown measures that were implemented. And I think that's something that is absolutely also exponentially adding to that is the kind of content that's being offered on places like Twitch and other places. And it really brings up that conversation that no one really ever wants to talk about or bring up, or if they do, usually it's in a mocking way, where it's just not taken very seriously. And that is that there is a real problem in our country with addictions to things like cell phones, social media, even with video games too, right? Obviously, people, calm down. I'm not saying that if you play video games that you're evil or anything like that, or that we need to ban them. But there are people that can't handle it. There are people whose minds
100%
and personalities cannot actually handle that in their life, and it's actually destructive to their life because they end up not living. They end up not doing things more important. I have someone in my life, for instance, who's now ex-husband was literally playing video games instead of watching their daughter, and their daughter fell downstairs.
It's no good.
And so I've seen this happen where people are just, there are some people that are not able to handle that. And I think we really need to be honest about the addiction that happens there, the addiction that happens with cell phones. And then also, again, people don't take it as seriously as it is, but the clear epidemic we have in this country of people who are addicted to things like pornography.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really want the proof in the pudding, just go ahead and look to the rate of divorce and look at what most people mention in their divorce. Almost every time you will see some mention of pornography in some way.
Yeah.
It is so destructive to families. It is so destructive to especially the young minds of kids. And no one wants to talk about it because people would rather just say, oh, it's not that big a deal. It's, whatever. But it truly is something that is degrading so many minds.
Yeah,
And I
you're totally
actually
right,
think-
bro. A lot of
Hold on.
men don't seem to understand. They don't understand the concept of grass is greener. So they get addicted to porn and they go down that rabbit hole where they're being constantly like just managed and groomed by the algorithm. And like they're searching for that 20% they don't see in their spouse or whatever. And they don't realize that the 80% they have at home is sitting there completely, devoid of contact. And it just it wrecks their marriage because all they want is this unobtainable thing. And they're not going to get it when they finally succumb to their addiction either. And the algorithm is just pushing them deeper and deeper down this like perversion path until they end up on some BDSM website wearing a fucking diaper.
No, they listen. It's worse than what you guys are even saying, because there was an article a couple of days ago where they discovered, or I think I can't remember the website, Pornhub, I think.
Mhm.
You don't remember the website?
Well, I don't remember which website it was. It was a pornography website. Had I think it was Pornhub, right? That's the most popular one.
Yeah.
And they said something like that they had intentionally included gay porn in the recommendations for guys in order to make guys more likely to become gay or something like that. Like I don't remember exactly what the article said, but it was like they're actually trying to feed certain kinds of content to the consumer. And I actually had a theory.
Well, think about it, bro. The most taboo thing to a straight man is gay sex. And if you're constantly pushing and searching for that phasic dopamine, and you've already you're on page 10 of Pornhub, and you're looking for something to jerk off to, and you've already seen the guy, the chick having sex with a dog, furry thing, and all of a sudden you see this guy that it looks sort of like a feminine guy. It's not as bad. You click on and you start pushing yourself into that. The algorithm.
Brian, we don't need to hear your life story.
I'm just telling you. That's what
I want to remind everyone, Brian.
More and more perverse.
Brian is our queer
Just how you got
representation
queer.
on the panel.
I am. Yes, that's exactly what happened to me, guys. I am the warning. I'm the canary in the coal mine.
No. Listen.
Get off the porn.
Someone in the chat mentioned it too, that you don't even have to have it be that necessarily, because now you have that new, it's like gateway almost, which is the whole trans thing.
Right.
And so
Trans
they
is
don't
the
even
gateway.
have to do that necessarily.
But listen, guys. It's not even that. It can be as simple as watching normal sex with a girl and a guy. This is actually what happened. I had this theory a while back. I was like, I think some guys are turning gay because they're watching a guy have sex with a girl, and they're like, that dick doesn't look that bad. It's kind of an attractive dick.
That's happened to me.
I don't really like looking at dick personally, but I have a buddy who's gay, right? I won't say his name, but he's in Hollywood. He's an actor, and I was talking to him on the phone.
You're talking about John, aren't you?
No, it's. I'm not
my
gonna say
bad.
this guy's name. Anyway, John. Anyway, so I actually asked
goodness.
this guy this because I presented this theory, And he goes, well, no, actually, that is what happened to me. He goes, that's what happened to me. I was watching porn, and I was like, dick doesn't look that bad. I'll try that. And then he went gay. And I'm not even kidding. That is exactly what fucking happened to this guy. So just like normal porn is making people gay. I think that's true. I think that's a real thing.
Well, it was nice being monetized while it
Oh
lasted.
God.
Yeah.
Thank
But
you. That was great. Yeah.
and I think we lost all of our
What
donators.
did you expect, Matt?
I think we
You
lost
got
all
that
of our
story up,
donators.
and Mr. Reagan's here.
Yeah.
You had
I
to
think we
bring up
lost all of
this-
our donators to Twitch because we didn't get any super chats on that segment.
Yeah.
But
They
speaking of,
all left to go see the
Yeah.
chick with the giant boobs.
yeah,
Yeah.
speaking of gay, let's talk about Doctor Who and the woke backlash that their gay black doctor
Now
is
that
constantly getting.
that was a good segue. That was
Yes.
really good.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Mr. Reagan set me up perfectly. Thank you, Mr. Reagan. Anyway, guys, so The Verge, that bastion of alt-right media, and that's a joke if anyone's ever read
Oh
The Verge.
boy.
Basically, they had this huge article about the new Doctor Who, and it is basically attacking Russell T Davies and the BBC for basically not going full black and gay and keeping the white gay doctor in addition to the black gay doctor. And they basically
Wait.
said that what
Doctor Who's gay?
he is now.
No, but
Why-
the
Why
the-
is he gay?
Well,
I
they
don't know,
basically
whatever.
Russell T Davies is a homosexual, and he basically turned David Tennant's regenerated version of the 10th Doctor, who's the 14th Doctor, made him gay.
Oh, so the 14th
and-
Doctor's gay. Okay.
14th
all right.
Doctor's gay, yes. And the
All right.
15th Doctor, who is played by Cootie, I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Is that Cootie?
That's a hard word.
Shitty.
Yeah,
His
yeah. Got was new Doctor, who's the 15th Doctor, and basically they're saying that it was racist and misogynist and homophobic to basically keep him in the shadow of a Doctor that most people like a lot better, David Tennant's Doctor. But they're actually doing a spin-off with David Tennant and like the Earth Force thing. I think it's called Unit in the show.
That's
And
awesome. I'll watch
and this
that.
whole article basically attacks the woke Doctor Who and the woke showrunner Russell T Davies as being racist and sexist and homophobic and all that stuff, simply because he chose not to give the new 15th Black Doctor the entire spotlight. And this comes off the heels of a lot of controversial choices by Russell T Davies to, not be ableist by having one of the main Doctor Who villains stop being in a wheelchair because he doesn't want to make wheelchair people evil, essentially. The 13th Doctor, who was Jodie Whittaker, who was a woman, all this other stuff. There's been a lot of anti-Trump messaging in this show. There's like they've gone as woke as they can possibly go, and according to The Verge, it's not woke enough. So, Tom Connors, I want to ask you: is there any pleasing these wokies who demand that media go in a certain direction, and it's never enough for them?
No, I think that's just it. That it is never enough. And we've come to learn time and time again, no matter what you do, they will find whatever little pedantic thing to nitpick about when it comes to this shit. Because it's either not gay enough, it's not bi enough, it's not this enough, it's not black enough, it's not Asian enough, it's not queer enough. And I love it. We can almost predict half the time what they're going to do or say to these things. But what's funny is it's just they're proving our point time and time again, right? Like you just said, they don't want this character being in the shadow of a much more popular character, which just goes right in line with why they do this shit to begin with. They can't create something original. We've said this a million times over. And we even have, where they've actually admitted it, where, yeah, we know that nobody will pay attention to this character if they're just a gay black superhero. We have to take another superhero who's already popular and make them a gay black superhero. That's the only way we can get any attention, because otherwise nobody's going to pay attention unless you make something good, because it's just a lazy ass way of getting around actually creating something original and good that gets people's attention.
That's very true. Mr. Reagan, I want to throw this to you. I don't think you're a big Doctor Who fan, or if you've ever watched it before. But the BBC and also the new Doctor Who series is being funded by Disney as well. So Disney has a say in where this goes. The new Doctor Who series has gone full messaging. So like the previous Doctor, Jodie Whittaker's Doctor, very anti-male, very feminist messaging, like all this stuff.
Oh, I did my research.
All right. Well, then tell me, what are your thoughts on this?
Okay. So let's just focus on the black thing for a second. Because
This episode's never gonna stay on this platform for very long.
oh no, it's gonna be worse. It's gonna be worse than you think, gentlemen. It's gonna be worse than you think. All right. Hold on. So, okay. Look, I'm gonna say something that probably a lot of people are gonna disagree with. They're gonna think that it's a racist thing to say. They're gonna think it's a I'm gonna say it anyway. Because you know what? I think it's true. I think it's possible. I don't necessarily think it's 100% true, but I think it's possible that actually straight white guys are just the most watchable characters. I think that's a possible reality, okay? And I think it's true. I think it's possibly true. And I don't know why that is. If you look back through our history, people go, oh, that's just because you haven't given people a chance, right? The last 100 years, all the writers were white males, and so they made all the characters white males. Yeah, but they were great fucking characters. Now, in the last like 10, 15, 20 years, it's almost all women or all black people or all gay people or some shit.
Oh boy.
Because they're like, oh, we gotta like give these characters a chance now. Okay, you gave them a chance and you fucking failed. All right, these characters are garbage. All right, like, okay, look, I'm not saying that it's impossible to have a cool gay character or a cool woman or like obviously Buffy was awesome. I mean, just about anything there's like tons of black actors out there that are absolutely awesome. Like if you put Denzel Washington in anything, it's going to be a great movie, a great character, great, right? But like to bring in an actor just because he's black, just because he's gay, is the dumbest thing ever. You would never cast a straight white guy just because he was a straight white guy. You always bring a straight white guy in because you do the casting, and this is the best, the most charismatic guy for the part, right? The most charismatic guy, the coolest looking guy, whatever. He looks like Aquaman, whatever it is. But if you decide, oh, actually, we're just going to make sure we make the most intersectional character possible, you're almost guaranteeing it's not going to be watchable, right? Because I always refer to great actors in movies, TV shows as watchable. How watchable are they? Because like if you look at somebody like not every actor is a good-looking actor, right? But it doesn't matter. Sometimes an actor is so charismatic, so charming, so interesting to watch that you're just compelled. You want to watch him, right? There's lots of actors like that in the world. And so I rate actors on watchability. It's not just their ability to act or their, ability to, like, to me, like everybody's like, oh, you have to be this great actor. You have to go to, there's some kind of Shakespearean bullshit theater nonsense. No, you just have to be beyond the level of believability. You have to be competent, essentially. Anything beyond competent as an actor, most audiences, they don't give a shit. You know what I mean? So you just have to be barely competent to be able to perform. After that, it's your charisma. It's how you are on screen. And to create great characters, great TV shows, great movies, you need the most charismatic, watchable people on screen. And for them to just like go, oh, we're going to just eliminate this entire group of people, straight white men, who have traditionally been the most watchable people in cinema, and go, oh, we're going to try to bring... I really think that, okay? I really think that. It's not to do with like, oh, I'm a straight white guy, and so I like other straight white guys. If anything, I'm a very competitive person. I don't like to see other straight white guys succeed because I'm like, fuck, that should be me. Fuck that guy. But I objectively look at it and I go, now, like all the best characters, I mean, a few really great black actors have broken through and I'm like, okay, you're awesome. Like Denzel Washington's awesome. But so many of these actors are brought in just because they're black, just because they're gay. And anytime you do that, I think you guarantee failure. You guarantee failure. And this is like the mantra of Hollywood. And I think this is why they're doing quantity over quality, because I don't think they can do quality under this new sort of philosophy of, diversity as opposed to, because it's just diversity over quality is what it is. Anyway, rant over. Your turn.
Thank you.
Oh,
So,
Jesus.
Odin, it's been great.
Welcome.
Gosh.
Guys, I want to throw this to Odin. Odin, it's been great having you on as a panelist. I'm sure you're never coming back. You're going to be busy with your pineapple pizza and your shelves with DVDs on them and stuff like that.
It's gonna be rubbing his rosary for the next
I don't
week.
understand this
Hanging out with us.
pineapple pizza thing. Pineapple Hawaiian pizza is delicious.
It is delicious, but it's a long-running joke with Odin. Well, yes, I'm sure this entire panel and all the topics today have disgusted you based off of like your head being constantly down. But I want to throw this to you because it is interesting.
What's funny is I've probably upset him the least.
I know. It's so true.
Yeah, that's new.
But Odin, I've noticed very recently, like if I'm watching like a new movie or TV show, that almost 90% of the time, whether it makes sense to the story or not, the main female character is suddenly gay, right? They either start off gay or they turn gay, like throughout the course of the show. And with Doctor Who, it's not just enough to be gay; they have to be a person of color and gay, or they have to be trans and a person of color and gay. Like whatever the case may be. And it's almost gotten to the point of parody where it's like, if I see like an attractive female lead on like a Netflix show or Netflix movie, I'm like, oh yeah, she's probably gay. And 90% of the time that's correct. What do you think it is about like this whole kind of push? Because I know that for a while there, it was about equal rights where it's like, hey, gay people want to be recognized and they want to be treated, like with common decency and stuff like that. But now it's gotten to the point where it's almost like, hey, it's not just enough to have gay rights. It's like everyone has to be gay. Like, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's complete overrepresentation, all right? Because, it used to be where people would, at the very least, say, well, if we're not up there at all, but we exist, that seems to be a problem. And now, because this almost, I guess, overcorrection, I think it's not even correct to say it's an overcorrection because it's just, I think at this point, we can clearly see a bunch of agenda-driven personalities behind the scenes, people who are activists more so than they are producers or writers, and that activism is just taking over. But what you see is this complete overrepresentation, right? So if you were just look at the amount of characters out there, the amount of shows out there that feature characters of whatever minority group you want to mention, you're going to say, okay, wait a minute, there seems to be something going on here as far as that, especially when we talk about characters who are gay, right, being vastly overrepresented in all these shows and all these places and getting pushed more so than any other group possible. And I think that also getting back to kind of a more clear point, it's not about the person that they're casting necessarily. It's about the reasoning as to why they're making the casting decision. Because I've always been with the mindset that if you write a story or you decide to greenlight a story or a movie or a show, and your main goal is, hey, we need to start off with this. We need to start off with this diverse casting first and then build a story around it. You're just automatically going to fail in that way because it means the story no longer matters. It's the messaging that matters, right? And if the messaging, who you cast specifically, is at the core of your story, then you really don't have a story whatsoever. You just have pure unadulterated activism. So that's why I disagree with an extent about who's getting cast, because I think that there are certain actors, regardless of who they are, what they look like, that would be great in the vast majority of projects that they do because they're talented. But it really comes down to ultimately the way that they're not only being written, but also the motivation as to why you're writing something in the first place.
Brian, I want to throw this to you real quick because, you've covered a number of beloved science fiction properties that have been ruined by wokeness, like Kurtzman with Star Trek, Kathleen Kennedy with Star Wars, and now Doctor Who. It just keeps getting worse and worse. And Doctor Who fans are tuning out in vast numbers. So I wanted to ask you, as somebody who, loves science fiction, but constantly sees it being destroyed, what your take on this is. It's like there's no pleasing these people, so why bother? Why not just cater to the fans?
Right, there is no pleasing. There's no pleasing the 2.8% of the population who actually cares about this. And that's the crazy part, is that someone at some point, I'm assuming, had to have brought up this to one of these studios. Hey, 3% of the population identifies as homosexual. Why are we tuning everything to them specifically? Like, let's say the other 97%, let's say they don't even care very much. Let's say they don't have no issue with it whatsoever. But we know that's not the case. At least half of them definitely have an issue with it. So let's say, though, 97% of your audience doesn't care. But now they're not even being recognized. They're not even being catered to. So why are we catering to the 3%? You think that topic had to have been brought up at some point, right? Some board meeting, some writer's room, someone would have said, hey, why are we focusing on 3%, a possible 3% of our audience and not the other 97%?
And then somebody responded, why do you hate gay people?
And that's what happened, because we're talking about Hollywood where everyone is either they're either all about the message, or they have to at least appear as if they are in order to keep their jobs. So we're at this point where, yes, catering to your 3% makes no sense, but no one has the balls to speak about it, or the people, or they're completely on board with it. And yeah, it makes no sense. And you're going to lose your audience. And the studio heads at the very top, are they're going to, why isn't this not working out? Why are we not making any money? But they don't even want to bring up the fact. They don't want to go to their showrunners and be like, hey, less gay people. Because if you said less gay people, that's bigoted immediately. If you said, you know what, don't do the trans storyline. Let's throw the cis actress into it. No, the second you said that, though, now that person is bigoted. You're going to be on Twitter, going to get canceled, something bad's going to happen, whatever to them. So everyone just keeps going down this path, even though it's costing them billions and billions of dollars, and they're ruining franchises that have been around for longer than any of us on the panel have been alive. Not a single one of us were here when one of these things started. But yet they continue down this path where they only care about that 3%, and most of that 3% aren't even watching Star Trek.
As I said, hire more straight white men.
You can't speak anymore.
Yeah,
You're banned.
We're
Banned.
Cancel.
All right, guys,
Cancel
real
him.
quick. Jillian in $4.99 to help offset potential demonetization. Thank you very much.
It's 100%
Jillian.
demonetized.
Yes, totally. And Butterbiscuit92, member for 3 months. Thank you. I think even Ryan Kinnell would double take after hearing Mr. Reagan's rant.
Yep.
Holy cow.
Yep.
Well, that's why we have Mr. Reagan on the show, because we hate money. Anyway, guys, I want to thank everyone for being here today. A little bit political of topics, but hopefully, we didn't turn anyone off, because this is the stuff that's happening in our little sphere, and we wanted to talk about it today. Anyway, Odin, what is sure to be your last appearance on Salty Saturday after today. Do you have any final thoughts, and where can people find more of you?
Next time I see anything dealing with Twitch or anything of that topic in the title, I'm gonna be like, "Yeah, I gotta skip this week, guys. I gotta spend time with my kids because
I gotta watch the baby.
I got a
exactly.
thing. I got a thing going on.
I need to do something wholesome and just stay away from it altogether." But anyway, so while that was going on, I was actually going through some box office stuff, and right now I have a chart looking at me saying $1.5 billion in financial losses for Disney, and that's just for the theatrical releases that they had this year, and that's not even taking into account what the actual budgets might be, amongst other things. But you can check me out over at OMB Reviews, where I talk box office and movie reviews, and I'll have a box office breakdown up tomorrow on the channel after getting home from Mass between 1 and 3. So...
Yeah.
Thanks as
and
always.
By the way, everyone, links to all the panel's channels and the articles that we discussed in today's episode is in the description if you want to dive deeper into that. And please subscribe if you aren't already to everyone's channel. Tom Connors, any final thoughts, and where can people find more of you?
I think sniffing hair is the best way to identify people, especially, when you're like me. Come on, man. I figure we're getting all political and shit, so I might as well just fuck it. Let's do it. Let's get all political. Let's get all the politics in here. the LGBTQs and BLMs and
Shoot him out of pressure.
what says the confessor? What? Bolden? I love you.
I love you too, Mr.
Mr.
President.
Reagan, I love your dad's work. He's a good president. People forget that. We got Brian up there representing the LGBT weirdos. And all
Tom,
that business.
we've got a heart out, so wrap this up.
Yeah, so hard out. Check out these guys on the channel. Do the thing.
Oh my God, that was brilliant.
That was really good.
All
I
right.
didn't even get to Matt. I mean,
Okay. Mr. Reagan, any final thoughts? Where can people find more of you?
Yeah, one final thought. If you think that gay men kissing is gross,
Oh, Jesus Christ.
then you are a normal person. Okay, the disgust mechanism is natural, and if you see gay men kissing and you're like, "Oh, that's disgust," here's how I look at it. Right? You like steak, you like ice cream. You don't want to see those two things together. It's like ice cream is like your female relationships. Of course, you're gonna want to be with a girl. And your
like
steak
ice
is
cream.
like your male relationships. Of course, you're going to have that brotherhood. You know what I mean? But you don't want to see that shit together. It's going to make you throw up. Okay,
You're
so
killing
watching gay
Brian.
men kiss,
Chris. You're killing
you're
Brian.
killing the
watching
queer
gay
dog.
men, like, don't feel like you're a bad person. Okay, it is gross, and you should be
All right.
disgusted.
Where
Okay.
can people find more of you?
I just thought I'd absolutely kill. If you didn't think the channel was dead yet,
Yeah.
Go to Mr.
You find Mr. Reagan
on
at
YouTube.
stormfront.org.
Mr. Reagan on YouTube. Watch all my videos. They're all brilliant.
All right.
All right.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Reagan. Brian from the podcast. Any final thoughts, and where can people find more of you?
I'm actually not Brian. I'm his cousin, and I don't know where you can find him, but I gotta go. I gotta go. We got the history of Willy Wonka.
This will be
coming out
known as a
tomorrow.
lost episode, I bet.
So check it out. History of the original Roald Dahl Wonka books, chocolate factory books, whatever. Tomorrow. Where you go?
Cool. Matt Vader 74. What's going on with the salty nerds?
He muted
You're
himself.
muted. You're muted.
I have no
He's gotta
idea
go.
what's going on with the salty nerds. I think we're having a live stream on Tuesday. I don't know about what. Probably Monarch.
Well, we're having a real magician in studio with us on Tuesday.
That's right. A real
Yep.
magic man. Cool.
Yep.
Yay. Magic guy on Tuesday and stuff. Yeah, I move on. I'm fried. Follow my channel, mattvader.com on YouTube. I play games.
MattVader.com.
Matt Vader 74 on YouTube. There you go.
Did I virtually lobotomize everybody by accident?
Yes.
I'm sorry about
Yeah.
that. I didn't mean to.
It's good.
Not me. I'm having the time of my life.
Yes.
Yeah, the one guy that never shows his camera is having a great time right now.
Well,
I'm all like-
you know, everyone out there, it was fun having a Salty Nerd podcast channel on YouTube. It'll probably disappear tomorrow or right after the stream shows up.
Glad to be
but,
part of the last show.
Yeah, exactly. But be sure to check us out on Tuesday. We're going to have a live street magician in the studio with us. He's going to be reacting to some of Hollywood scenes where they're doing magic with us, and should be a good time. And I'm also going to be on the Legion of Memers live stream in about an hour. So if you guys want to hop over and check that out, we're going to be talking about the podcast that we did about producing live streams and some other stuff. Anyway, big thanks to the panel. Big thanks to Mr. Reagan for being here and getting us canceled.
Last
And
time.
also want to give a big thanks to Mexican Iron Man, Culture Casino, Wendy Hunter, The Joker's Voice, Gavin Blackburn, Darth Maul's Lower Half, Christopher Mays, and Jillian Inn. And also big shout out to Bob Dorsey for that hugely generous gifted subs thing. Really appreciate you guys. We do this show for you, and yeah, hopefully you still keep tuning in. And we should be on next Saturday, same salty time, same salty channel. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bury up.